Hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators podcast episode and live stream every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are in the podcast audience, we'd love to have you. YouTube.com/video creators is where we do that. But today I am really excited to talk with you about 5 strategic ways that you should be planning your videos even before you hit record. I think it's way too common for YouTube creators to have this great idea for a piece of content, for a video, and they work really hard on shooting it, and then they post it, they upload it to YouTube, and they don't get nearly the traction on it that they want. And what most creators think is like, maybe like my content just needs to improve. Maybe I just need to like better editing or better cameras or fancier equipment or I'm just waiting. This is the common one. I'm waiting for the YouTube gods to just finally give me favor and I will finally start growing. Well, thankfully, there are far more reproducible ways to actually get momentum and grow on YouTube. And it really comes down to how you plan your content in the beginning. I know it's easy to look at a lot of the top creators and like, oh, they just make it look so easy. Everything seems so natural and they're getting millions of views. And my video is just as good. Why is mine not getting millions of views? There's a lot that goes into a question like that. But one of them actually is like these top creators. I know they're spending a lot of time planning out their content and doing a lot of things we're going to talk about today, even before they hit record, so that when they do hit record and start actually producing the content, they've already done a lot of homework, they've already done a lot of research, and they've already figured out a lot of things that's going to help them best craft content that's going to perform long-term going forward after that video is published. So that's what we want to talk about today is 5 of those things that we see most creators missing, that things that you should do even before you start recording that's going to help catapult your content, build momentum as you go forward. And I am going to have this conversation today with 2 friends of mine, Lennon and Delana. They're both YouTube strategists here on my at Video Creators and working with our clients, working with the creators that we work with one-on-one and in group sessions and consultations and all that stuff. People like you helping you move forward with your content so you can grow your business, get more views, get more subscribers, and ultimately reach more people and change their lives. That's what we're all about here at Video Creators, and I'm excited to dive in. Lennon, Delana, how are you guys doing today? What's been going on in your world?
Well,
nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those weekends where it felt I'm in the overwhelm category this week, so I'm like digging into it, but that's okay. That's all part of it, right? You're in it. It's one of those seasons of like get a lot of stuff done, and so that's kind of the place. But it's all good problems. It's not like there could be hard problems, which a lot of people are dealing with right now. I don't have any of those. So
is that from your first week of trying to homeschool or do school at home or whatever you guys are doing with the kids? Or
no, we're not there yet.
Okay.
We should get all the information about that this week. So we've gotten some of that, and it was kind of funny. We did get our homeschool schedule where they're like, this is what we expect. And I was like, yeah, that ain't going to happen.
My kid's going to far exceed all of those expectations.
Right. You want 8 hours a day? We're going to do 15. No questions.
Are they really asking 8 hours a day?
They pretty much mapped it out like they did a regular school schedule. And I was like, that's just not possible. I don't think that's possible for any
so
parents,
unnecessary. But I mean, someone's asking me, we've been homeschooling for 5 years now. I grew up homeschooled my entire life, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we have 5 kids. We have 7 kids total, but 5 of them are in school. We have 2 in 5th grade, 1 in 2nd grade, 1 in kindergarten, and 2 in preschool. And all of that total, like we got some systems and processes in place now, but it takes like 2 hours in the morning to get through all of their material. So I think if you're in a classroom, we have 1 on 30, like in a public school setting, maybe. Yeah, it takes all day. But when you're like 1-on-1 or 1 on 2, like I am with my 5th graders, it doesn't take 8 hours. So I don't know. Good luck to you, Lennon. We're here for you. We'll be our moral support.
I'm fine with it. It'll be fine. I'll just be like, listen, guys, if she's if she's getting the scores, that's what they care about, and she'll definitely be doing that. So,
how are you doing, Delana?
I was gonna say, are they gonna require you to get a bell in between subjects too?
Yeah, I'm upgrading though to one of the new ones where it's more like just a buzzer.
I can see Lennon with a foghorn, just like boom.
That's our 3-year-old. We've been calling her a tea kettle lately because she just, when her energy hits, she's like, woo, and she just has to like scream. She can't not do it. It's hilarious. So I think that will be our bell, maybe between we'll just have the 3-year-old like, hey, scream. Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I on the same as Lennon, I kind of woke up this morning and I actually just told my husband, I was like, I am feeling like there's so much to do. And like, I went on vacation, then I came back and I was like catching up with work. And then it was like, and now we've kind of, because of both of those together, we're kind of falling behind on a lot of the things we need to do around our house. And so I'm just like, I'm trying to like figure out how to balance everything. So yeah, it's just one step at a time. I made a list this morning. I was like, okay, what are like the top 5 things that I absolutely need to do today? And then the rest of it, I will find a place for, so that always helps me whenever I feel like that. But just, it's good. It's all good things, but I just have to prioritize.
Yeah. We've been working hard on building a new office for me. I have a video that I'm working on for you guys called, I think the title, what did we say the title was? Dog Kennel to Ultimate YouTube Studio, I think. And just got a few more clips extra right before recording this. My wife's out there painting. We got the walls done. It's starting to look legit. We got carpet scheduled to come in, and there's all the lighting on the ceiling. My brother came in and looked at all the boxes, and he's like, why do you have a light every 4 inches? And I was like, well, there's a lot of lights. The electrician too. He was like, I have never put this many lights in one room. And it's like, wow. I have 7 different settings based on if I'm shooting a video against this wall or shooting a video against that wall, if I'm live streaming or doing a consultation or just need house lights. There's like all these different program light settings. So that all the lights, I can hit a button and all the lights just boom, just go right to where I need them to be for whatever that content is. So I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. It's gonna be pretty epic. So we're working hard. Usually covered in this weekend just covered in drywall dust, and my first time to drywall. Doesn't look that awesome, but I'm gonna cover it in shiplap for the back one of the walls anyway. So it's gonna be okay. If you guys are here in the live stream, we would love to dive into your questions with you guys here. The Maximalist minibus is in the chat. She is, RV Odd Couple. It doesn't look like your office. Nope, it doesn't. I'm in my bedroom right now because my office doesn't have power or electricity or anything in it. It doesn't even have any lights, just a lot of light boxes and cords, wire hanging out of the ceiling. So... if you guys have any questions while we go through this, Maximalist Minibus is in the chat. Make sure you tag her right there, and she will take your questions and put them in front of us on topic, relevant questions, of course, off topic and irrelevant. I almost said irreverent, irrelevant questions. Well, just to be honest, not that the question's not a good one. We're just trying to keep it all on topic here today. So if you've got those questions, at any point throughout the chat or throughout the stream, tag her, leave them there, and we will do our best to answer those questions here in a little bit. Thank you, Maximalist Midwest. If you guys are familiar with her channel, you should check it out. She does videos in her RV with her dog, just traveling and sharing stories about her adventures and the places she's going and the experiences she's having and the towns that she's visiting. And so if you like adventure and travel and stories from an RV, definitely check out Maximalist Minibus. So cool. Thank you, Mary, for being here and for doing that. Before we dive into our content here, we want to do something we don't do very often, but I think is important for us to know how is YouTube changing? What are they doing that's different now than it used to be before? And there's 6 big updates that are happening on YouTube. We're gonna go through these kind of quickly. Delina actually is gonna share them with us here, so that if you have an idea of, okay, this is what's happening on the platform, because the more up to date we are with how this platform changes, the better educated we can be in how we need to tweak and modify our strategy on YouTube in order to keep up with the changing environment that we're publishing videos in. So, Delina, you want to give us an update on the kind of the big news items, changes that happened on YouTube recently?
Yes, totally. So, I'm not muted, right? Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, good. So, yeah, the first thing is updates to mid-roll eligibility. So those ads that play that you can put in the middle of your video, or sometimes automatically put in the middle of your video, depending on your ad settings and the way that you have it. This is now, your video used to have to be 10 minutes long in order for you to be eligible to place those mid-roll ads, but now it's 8 minutes. So there is an update depending on how that just went through. It went through on July 27th, right? Yeah. And with that, you can, like, it's going to go in and it's actually going to put ads on all of your videos that are 8 minutes or longer. It's going to put those mid-roll ads if you have your settings set up. Now, it's supposed to be if you have your settings set up in a way that would allow them to do that. Now, it's supposed to be that way, but I actually did just have an experience with one of the creators I'm working with, and she had it to where mid-roll ads could not play on her videos, but they still went in. I don't know if it was like a glitch or something. They still went in and they put mid-roll ads on all of her videos 8 minutes or longer, and she didn't want them there. So she did have to go back and change them. So if there's any videos that you don't have, if there's any videos that you don't want to have those ads, those mid-roll ads on, then feel free to make sure you go in and you look at those. And then the next thing is revenue per, or your RPM. So this is a new way of looking at monetization, and because it used to just be the CPM that you would look at, but now it's the RPM. And the RPM is, it's, long story short, it's basically how much you are actually making from YouTube, not how much money is being made off of the ads overall, but how much you're actually making from YouTube. So, like you as a creator, after YouTube takes their cut and everybody else involved takes their cut, you'll be actually able to see how much you're going to make from that. So be sure to check that out in your analytics. And then the next thing is live control room. So YouTube announced recently, they've changed a lot of the way that they have done, that they're kind of setting up the way that you can live stream and all the features that you have access to within whenever you're scheduling live streams and stuff like that. So they have improved a lot of those features and will address all of the feedback that they've heard from previous features that they had offered there. So make sure to check that out on your dashboard. If you do regular live streaming or are thinking of live streaming, you have a whole new set of features, and be sure to go and check that out. And then the YouTube TV price and content is actually updating and has updated. I believe it went through on June 30th. And so if you have YouTube TV or you are thinking about getting YouTube TV, it is now $64.99 per month. And but you're getting access to much more channels: BET, CMT, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, Paramount Network, TV Land, and VH1. All of those launched on YouTube TV starting June 30th. So more details on that can be found on YouTube TV's Twitter, as well as their Reddit and blog post announcements. So number 5, YouTube Kids is now on Amazon Fire devices. So you can now watch YouTube Kids on all Amazon Fire devices. So be sure to check that out if you got some kiddos at home and they love some YouTube Kids. So you now have access to that. And then the last thing is subscriber notification email update. So YouTube used to offer to where the subscribers could sign up and get emails whenever you get you upload a video and stuff like that. And those are actually going away. They're not going to be offering those emails anymore. So all the details and more will be in the show notes. So be sure to check them out if any of these are important to you or apply to you. But yeah, that's all the updates.
I never use those emails, like the notification emails. I was like, turn those off. How do I unsubscribe? There's too many.
Yep.
I'm not surprised that they're getting rid of that.
Same.
And one thing I'm curious about seeing is probably a bigger topic for another time, but YouTube TV, I'm curious to see how they continue to use that to merge traditional media content with this new media stuff that we have on YouTube today. So for example, my wife watches Survivor on YouTube TV, and then the next thing that comes up that's recommended is like a live stream of someone doing like a show recap on their YouTube channel, right? So it's kind of like I think there's coming some ways that we can start piggybacking our content on like Food Network or HGTV shows, and now they're watching that on YouTube TV, and next thing they know, now they're watching us on like our gardening video or something. So I haven't seen too much of that happening. I haven't seen that pop up in traffic sources for clients and stuff yet, but I'm curious. That's why I have my YouTube TV subscription, is like I'm keeping an eye on how they're merging those two. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I find that stuff really fascinating if that's the future of this stuff.
I don't have YouTube TV, but now I'm super interested.
Yeah, especially on mobile, it works better on, like, the integration's clear on mobile than it is on television, like on Roku, for example. Although we typically watch YouTube TV on our TV,
Mm-hmm.
but on mobile though, the recommendations, the suggested, there's a lot of other content, like premium content that is recommended, but it's not unheard of on mobile to start seeing other native YouTube content suggested as well. So especially their original stuff. But yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that for you guys. As we have something that's a little bit more locked down and worth sharing, we will share that. Maybe have a whole episode about it. For right now though, that's the main thing I'm keeping my eye on with YouTube TV when it comes to what does it mean for us as creators. One creator, let's see here. We want to introduce you to a creator named Remington before we dive into our content here as our creator spotlight for this week. Lennon, you want to tell us about Remington?
Sure. Remington is a member of our community here. And what he did is he went through the 30 days to a better YouTube course that we have, which is our entry-level course before starting his channel. And we see this pretty often. People want to make sure that they're setting up their channel the right way, getting things optimized as they're kind of moving into it, because they're trying to avoid wasting time as they're getting into building out their channel. So he went through part of the course, uploaded a few videos as he was going through, and got some momentum. And he wants to share with you guys some of the things that he implemented that got him going. And he's seeing some really good growth for where his channel is at on the earlier side. And so he's going to share some of those things with you guys now. Remington, why don't you let everybody know who you are and what your channel's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So my channel is called Pixel Codex. It's a gaming channel. And basically, it's about rediscovering your childhood love of video games, finding out about cool games you either never heard of or you haven't tried, and the best way to play them today.
Tell me, when you were starting 30 days, where was your channel sort of at that point, and what were you really trying to get from the course?
Yeah, so I actually hadn't even brought it out yet. So I'd always been planning and trying to do a YouTube channel for a while, but I really needed that kind of push to actually get it started. So I was able to go through the 30 days, or at least part of it, and I pretty much had my whole channel having that as a backdrop. So it absolutely helped.
What do you feel like you've seen shift the most since you've been working on your channel and kind of hanging out with us and working on stuff?
Yeah, so I think the biggest, the most valuable part for me was actually to kind of get clarity on your target audience and your value proposition. So prior to doing that, I had all these crazy ideas. So I'm like, I'm a huge fan of video games. I like comic books. I like movies, TVs, drawing, and I was just going all over the place. So my original plan was like, I'm just going to make a video about pretty much whatever I like. So actually going through that and getting kind of clarity and how to narrow it down and create it and to pick a niche was super helpful to me.
That's awesome. So let's say somebody's kind of in your shoes on where you were with your channel, you know, as you were getting started and you're kind of designing things. Like, what would be your biggest piece of advice that you would have for them? What do you feel like your biggest takeaway was that you're going to continue to execute on, and how would that help somebody kind of in your position?
Yeah, I think definitely kind of having a plan ahead of time and getting clarity on that. So pretty much to determine like what you're going to do and kind of focus on that absolutely helped me a lot. It kind of helps you plan ahead, but also get focused. So that way you're not just like, it isn't like a shotgun of content, like scattershot all over the place. Another thing that really helped is how to structure the video. So having the intro, the hook, how to keep audience retention. That's something I'm struggling with now. So I'm focusing on. That helped out a ton.
That's cool. Well, it's not just you, it's all of us. So that's like the YouTuber's nemesis is the audience retention graph. So, you know.
Pouring over them and going through my videos, like seeing the drops, and I'm not really sure like why people are leaving like at that certain point. So I've just been kind of like, the good thing about the course is it's good to go back. Like I only got about maybe 17 days into it, but the thing is I kept going back and going over it. So I'm like, okay, great, my channel art. So I'm going to go back now and go through those, and that helped out a ton as well.
No, that's great advice. Yeah. And that is a great way that the course has been laid out. So you have that opportunity. While it may feel like, okay, I need to run through this in 30 days, it's actually better if you take it slow and do it at your pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is like there's so much like extra content in there. So Tim has the video and he kind of gives instruction. And like some of them can be kind of quick, but the good thing is there's like a task per the day. And then he has all these extra steps. And the extra steps, they go like crazy in depth. So it'll either be articles or YouTube videos from other creators, and it helps out a ton.
What's been the biggest improvement that's got you excited, like as far as like seeing something from growth or things like that?
Yeah, so I've had it for about 2 months now. I've only gotten out to put about 7 videos, and I'm just about at 130 subscribers. So to me, that's huge. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, compared to other people, it's not a million, but for just starting out, that's like a huge amount for me. So
no, that's amazing. That's really good growth. You should feel really good about that. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Thanks so much for jumping on here and taking a few minutes to chat. Make sure you guys go check out Remington's channel. We're going to have a link for his channel in the show notes here, so you guys can go support it. If you're like me, you're a retro game lover, because that's the only way I know. Then please go check out his channel. And Remington, thanks so much again for being a part of the community and for jumping on here with me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate it.
That was fun. Remington's in the chat here, and he's like, "I'm so nervous."
You slayed it,
you did
man.
Great.
So good.
That was awesome. You did so good. So yeah, good to have you, man. Yeah, so I love it when people who are like, I don't really know how to move forward, and I feel a little stuck. I don't know if I'm going to do the right things as I dive in. But then people like Remington, they're like, okay, I'm going to take this course, 30 Days to Better YouTube channel, and going to spend a month, 30 days every day. I'm going to get a training, something I need to learn. I'm going to get tasks and assignments I need to do right then and there on my YouTube channel to make it more highly subscribable and to improve my content. And then, like he said, there's more links to other resources and articles and things if you really want to dive in deep on some of those things. And the results that people have been getting from 30 Days to Better YouTube channel just been amazing to see. And yeah, so people like Remington, like 100 subscribers after 7 videos from like 0, like that's, or 7 videos, 100 subscribers. That's pretty good. And that's what we call momentum. Yeah, you know, like it's not huge numbers, but it's You do that with 7 videos, and your next 14, and then you do another 7 videos. Now you got like 500 subscribers, another 7 videos. You've got like 1,000 subscribers. I'm making up those numbers, obviously, but you get the idea. It's about one step in the right direction over time, consistently, 4 time. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. And so if you guys are interested in going through it, or at least checking it out, seeing if it's right for you or not, you go to videocreators.com/30 days, and you can check it out there, videocreators.com/30 days, and check it out, see if it's right for you or not, and then dive in. And we would love to see what kind of results you get as a result of going through this material and optimizing your channel and setting it up, positioning it to be as highly subscribable as possible so that you too can see momentum on your channel as you go forward with your content. Let's see. Let's dive in to talking about 5 strategic ways to plan your videos for more views before you start recording. And we want to walk through you guys through a process basically from beginning to end in terms of what you should do before you hit recording, what you need to, well, all of us do what you should do before you hit record, but it's basically, we're going to talk through the entire process of what kind of research and things you should do ahead of time that's going to help position your content to be as effective and successful as possible. Lennon, why don't you kick us off here? What's the very first thing that we should do, step number 1, before we dive into recording our content?
Yeah, so the first step really has everything to do with your ideation. So like coming up with good ideas, and then as you're coming up with those ideas, looking at YouTube and researching similar videos to your idea. So when we're doing this with clients, let's say we're talking about, well, I'll use this as an example. I did a consult with a barbecue, like a champion barbecue guy this week that I was really excited about. Super cool guy. And he gave me this awesome, super simple baked chicken recipe that he's like, now go do this and your family's going to like kiss you at the end of it. Sure enough, like I did it and it was awesome.
They kissed you?
They did. Yeah. But I had to ask. But what was cool about it is, we were looking at and doing this same thing. He said, I go through this process of looking through channels, looking through and figuring out, okay, if somebody else is doing this idea that I want to do, what are the patterns here in the titles? What are the patterns in the thumbnails? And then, we would even suggest to go so far as to look at the hooks. So, if you see somebody's video that's doing really well, and what we would consider a video to be doing well, there's kind of 2 things I'll look at. If there's a lot of videos in this niche, and I can see kind of an average number, I might look for what's an above average number, or I might look for, okay, if you've got your vidIQ plugin on, what's the subscriber count for that channel? And is that video view-wise outperforming that subscriber number? And if so, that's a really good sign, right? So I'm going to look at those and say, what are the similarities in the titles and the thumbnails, and why is that clickable? What's exciting about this? And I'm going to take some notes. And that doesn't mean that I'm trying to completely replicate that, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking and setting myself up for doing the right things in my own way, using my own voice. And so I'll start there. Look for patterns in titles, thumbnails, and hooks, and make sure you're implementing the things that resonate with you, that would resonate with your audience in terms of videos that are already performing well on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things creators overlook. Like, I have a good idea, and then they try to dive in, but it's so important just to do a little recon work. First of all, like, look at the pattern, see what patterns you can find in content that's already performing well on YouTube, and titles and thumbnails and hooks, and channels with videos with high views on channels with relatively low subs. So yeah, so important, because you can learn so much before you even hit record. Like, oh, I was going to open my content like this, but I see everyone else who's doing this video successfully is actually doing this other thing. Good thing I did the research, or I would have started my video the wrong way and it wouldn't have connected with an audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And that you may see something, because I'll see this pretty often too, where if you have a bunch of videos that are getting 30, 40,000 views, but you look at the channel and all those channels have like 2 million subscribers, you know, that's not necessarily like a great performing video for that channel. So make sure you're looking at that data and seeing like what are these numbers really representing in terms of the channel that's putting it out.
Right. Because if it's like, oh, a video has 1 million views, it's the biggest one in this search query or in this niche. And then you see that the channel is like 10 million subscribers. You're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now. But if it has 1 million views on a channel with like 10,000 subscribers, then you're like, oh, well, that's a different story. That content broke outside of its audience. That's something I should pay attention to more than some of the other options that might be available. Yeah. And then I think the second strategic thing is then after you do that recon work is to now plan your title and thumbnail with an opening hook before you even start recording. Again, guys, like don't make the video and then start uploading it and be like, what's my title and my thumbnail going to be? And then you're like, I don't know. And then it's just kind of like something that just merely describes the content and doesn't actually create any tension in the brain. It actually doesn't like elicit any sort of reaction from people. It's just I'm thinking about my wife right now, how to paint drywall for the first time. It's just kind of like, all right, I'll get that. But there's so many videos like competing for that, I'm sure. So like, how do you craft your title to make yours stand out differently? So it's like, don't do this. And the thumbnail is, I don't know, someone putting drywall paint up with a 4-foot roller or something. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go, but but you're complimenting the title. The title and the thumbnail is the thing that got them to click. So what you shouldn't do, as a lot of creators do, is then just basically restate the title in the opening seconds. So if the video is like how to paint drywall for the first time, don't open up the video being like, hey guys, welcome. My name is Tim, and today I'm going to teach you how to paint drywall for the first time. People are like, I know, that's why I'm here. Get on with it, right? So they're asking, like, instead, if that's the opening hook, that's the title, is how to paint drywall for the first time, then it should be like, now the first thing you should not do, what most people do, is this thing, right? You just get like right into the content, or maybe it's you could do that. Option number one is get right into the content. We've seen that work successfully for creators and eliminate a lot of that audience abandonment in the opening seconds. The second thing you could do instead is just create more tension. Like just take whatever they clicked on and extend the stakes. What's at risk if they don't do this thing, whatever, extend it even more. So if the title is how to paint drywall for the first time, it could be like, this is what your wall will look like the first time, unless you do what I'm about to show you now. Or it's like, ooh, I do not want my wall to look like, or that's exactly what my wall looks like right now. What did I do wrong? So just don't repeat the title in the opening seconds. Either pick up where the title left off, either by getting right into the content or increasing the tension there with like, here's the tension that's created with the title and thumbnail, and now I'm making it even bigger. Like the tension's even bigger now after that. So the best way you can plan the opening hook of your video is to already know what the title and thumbnail is someone clicked on before they clicked on it. So if you know that the title is like such and such, how to paint your drywall for the first time, then you know that that's the opening hook. Technically, that's what hooked them to click. Now, what do they need to see or hear next to keep their attention and keep them watching? And the only way you can really plan out how to start the video that way is by determining what the title and thumbnail is first before you hit record. Any other thoughts on that from you two, Lennon or Delina? Did I nail it? I nailed it?
Just nailed it. Yeah.
Oh, well, I almost nailed it. Okay, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
I think the only other aspect of this that gets hard for creators is, especially if we're talking about like vlog channels or anything like that, they're like, but I don't know what's going to happen today.
That's a good point.
You know, and so how am I supposed to plan my title and thumbnail beforehand? And this actually kind of perfectly segues into what I'm about to
nice
talk about.
one. Yeah, let's go to number 3. Go ahead.
Yes, which is plan the story elements as much as possible before you film. And yes, this even applies to how-to and educational channels. You guys can absolutely incorporate stories into your content. It can be done. It can be done in very extensive ways, and it can be done in small ways. But even if you don't know what's going to happen, having at least, whether you're a vlog channel or anything that would put you in a position that you wouldn't be sure exactly what's going to happen or how the content is going to play out, try to like plan ideally what would happen in this. Even if you feel like you're kind of making up a story, it gives you a lot more direction. And then if the story turns out to be different, then it turns out to be different. And I'm going to go over the story elements here in just a second. But I was actually helping my husband, who is planning on starting a YouTube channel for his business. Like his team are going to start making some YouTube videos. They're kind of just playing with the idea right now, and they decided to plan a video. And so I was helping him put this together, and we had this exact conversation of like, well, he was like, how am I supposed to know? He was trying to plan a story. How am I supposed to know that it's going to go this way? And that's exactly what I told him. Is I was like, you just need to have a plan in place. Like, let's draw out a story arc of ideally, like, let yourself just be creative. Just like go as far as you can with the concept, and don't even, don't try to think too realistic about it, I guess. Like, just let yourself go. Like, whenever writers get into a room and they're planning like TV shows and stuff, one of the big things that they do is they just like go as far as they can. They just go off of each other with ideas, and they go as far with those ideas as possible, and then they kind of pull it back, and they're like, okay, what can we actually pull into this script, or whatever. And so that's exactly, okay, what if, this, I'm trying really hard not to like share the story that I was helping him plan, because I want it to I don't want to spoil it, not that all of you guys are going to be rushing over there or anything, but I don't know how much you'd want me to share. So but anyways, they're planning. So we planned like a whole story arc, and it's like, okay, if you get in the studio and you guys start, my husband he's an audio engineer, so tracks bands and stuff like that, and things start going differently, then it's just kind of changing your mindset into being fully aware of the story that you're in right now, and then thinking it through. Okay, it looks like things are going this way. So if things are going to go this way, then we probably need to change this part of the story and this part of the story. And you kind of have to be open at the same time. And those are, if you can really exercise that muscle by planning as much ahead of time, and then also being aware of the story that you're in and making the changes as you go through the story, then those are usually the creators that get the most success, if they can be very aware of the story that they're in and able to creatively change accordingly. So really quick, I just want to go over the story elements that I'm talking about, like the story arcs here. And we've really broken it down into 7 structures. And I think Tim has shared this several times on his channel already. But number 1, who is the character? Number 2, what do they want? Number 3, why can't they have what they want? Number 4, what's at stake if they don't get what they want? Number 5, who or what comes along to help the creator do what they couldn't do before? And I think the important thing is a what, not just a who. I feel like sometimes we get stuck on the who, but it can be as simple as, oh, Google helped me find the answer to this question, and it helped me overcome this obstacle that I was facing, or something like that. And then how does the character ultimately get what they wanted? And then how are they transformed by the process? So that is 7 steps. Tim, I'm going to copy and paste them if you want to put them in the chat.
Yeah. So basically what you're doing is you're saying, and this is for everyone, whether educational, entertainment, just plan out your content. But if you can do it around a story, that's best. So if it's a entertainment channel, like a vlog, you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. What can the story be? What ends up happening if you don't do this, guys, is you end up just giving status reports about your day or about this event. And it's not really a story. It's like, hey guys, now we're doing this. It's more of a follow me as I type thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not really a story, and it doesn't get nearly the momentum as there's a character in the opening seconds who wants something, can't have it, and something's at stake if they don't get it. If you can do all of that in the first opening couple seconds of your content, you're going to be way more likely to hook that viewer's attention and hold them through the rest of the story as they face obstacles, try to get this thing, they can't get it, and then something or someone helps them, actually equips them to do it, they get it, and then there's transformation at the end. That's the story that people love. So I think that usually makes more sense for people, Delana, who are in a entertainment space. Yeah. How does that apply to someone who's doing, let's say, drawing tutorials? They're like, I just want to teach people how to draw this dinosaur. There's not really a story here.
Yeah. So this is where it's definitely a muscle to move, but we also have to start thinking about our content completely differently, because whenever we go into creating a video, we tend to, especially if it's educational content, we tend to think, okay, I'm just going to show them step 1, step 2, step 3. And this is where we have to almost put the trust in the viewer's hands a lot more, that like, if I just draw out a story of how I achieved this drawing, like maybe you decide to take on a certain, I don't know anything about drawing, but maybe you decide to take on a certain portrait that maybe you're drawing a portrait for the first time or something like that, or you decide to kind of put yourself out of your element. You put yourself in a challenge. Now it can you can craft a story out of that, of how you achieved like all the things that you learned along the way. So you kind of set it up by saying, I'm really used to drawing these types of pictures and stuff like that, but today I decided that I was going to put myself out of my element and do something completely new and completely different. And I'm going to draw a portrait for the very first time. And then the challenge is kind of set. And you can start to lay out like, okay, what's at stake if you don't do this? Maybe you had a client who wanted a portrait for the first time. And some of these elements can be a little bit fabricated. Like you can, but that's kind of what goes into planning it ahead of time, is that you have to kind of fabricate some things. And then if the story changes, it changes. But I think it's just kind of like flipping the way that you think about your content overall to how can I demonstrate this struggle and this problem rather than just tell people about how to solve this problem. How can I demonstrate it and demonstrate the fixing of it rather than just kind of telling them ABC?
Yeah,
another way to do it. Okay.
I would just say like the thing we have to remember with educational content is that if you're educating somebody on something, there's a problem that you're trying to solve for them. So you need to identify that problem, and that becomes your conflict. So that's the thing they want. And the reason they can't have it is because there's a problem in between that you have to educate them on. So then you're just telling the story of how you're guiding them through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like the viewer is a character who wants something, can't have it. There's something at stake. So who or what comes along? Well, your video. So when they click on your video, you're the one that's equipping them with the proverbial sword to be able to conquer this thing and experience the transformation that they want. So it's important to be able to tell your audience's story so that they hear like, oh, this is exactly what I need. Like this is exactly the situation I'm in. And then give them the content that equips them, which kind of similarly to how I opened up this podcast, which is here's the story that most people are doing. Here's what they're experiencing because they're doing it like this. And if that's the way you're doing it, then we're going to give you a different way of doing it that will more likely get you more momentum on YouTube. So I told you the viewer's story, and now we're giving the content, so to speak. So we go way more in depth in that in Video Labs, but that's, a good overview. After they've planned out the story elements and the content itself as much as possible, then what happens next, Lennon? Tip number 4 or step number 4 or whatever we're calling them.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that YouTube is really looking for to get content to surface higher is session continuation, keeping somebody on the platform longer. Can you believe it? That they want people to be on YouTube longer. Like it's insane, right? I can't even. So what we think about here a lot is rather than doing all the call to actions that are becoming, for lack of a better term, ending language. So if you're saying something like, anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to tell Aunt Mabel how much I missed her. I love you guys. Like and subscribe. It helps me with the algorithm. Like all the things that we hear over and over and over. Like what starts to happen there is that we check out, and it's the equivalent of the credits rolling at the movie theater. I've already thrown my popcorn away as fast as possible, and I'm heading out the door so I can get my kids in the car before the rest of these people start pouring out of the front gates. So just make sure that we kind of avoid any ending language, and we've planned out this idea of what pairs the best with this video. So in the case of the educational content that we were talking about, you might be talking about, okay, here is how we, I don't know. What do we want to do here, guys? Give me a topic. What are we teaching today?
Go to the drawing thing again.
Okay, so we're drawing dinosaurs. So now that you understand this idea of drawing a dinosaur, you may be curious, what is the best software for digital drawing? What's the things that I'm using here? And I have a video here where I go over my top apps that are free or super cheap that are going to be really great for you as a beginner digital artist. So go check this out here. So I'm thinking, what pairs really well with the video that they've just watched? So often we'll see people say like, oh, I just made a chicken. If you want more chicken recipes, go watch this. I would actually be cautious of that because you've just given them a really valuable chicken recipe. Why would they want to go watch another chicken recipe? Like what pairs really well with that? Is it the gravy? Is it a side? Is it whatever? If it's an exercise tutorial, is it a stretch routine? Is it a meal that could go afterwards? Like whatever it is, like let's pair it with something interesting and push them down the line. And then in terms of, good quality entertainment content, we'll see people teasing the next story that's coming up next, giving a little bit of that conflict that we want then resolved. Delana actually did a master job of this in her last video where she like cut us off and was like, if you want to watch more, make sure you're hanging out. And I was like, dang, I almost cussed just then. So just like, it's just be ready to offer something that's going to get us hooked in and let us know where we need to go next and why that's important.
So the key here is to think not just about, let me make a piece of content and publish it. What we're saying is you need to think through the entire viewing journey, the entire viewing session. So before you even hit record, you got to be like, okay, what other videos am I up against? What's the competition like? And then learn what you can there. Now, okay, what's the title and thumbnail going to be that gets them into my content? Okay, I got that. Okay, so how do I need now to open the video so that it complements the title and thumbnail and increases tension, or actually complements it in some way, but just doesn't repeat it? What do they need to see or hear in order to hold their attention? And then we get them to the end. And now what Lennon's saying is like, okay, but now you also need to think before you hit record, you also need to know what video you want to send them to next, because we want to extend the viewing session, getting more watch time on more of our videos. And Lennon, did you say playlist was the best way to do that, or did I just say that?
You just said that.
I just said that. Yeah, playlist is a really good way to do that because you can get them into like a short playlist, not like a really super long one, but yeah, Delana, that's our fifth one actually. I'll let Delana explain that. But when you get them at the end, it's like, don't give all the goodbye signals. The help this was helpful. Let me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, comment below, go to our website, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't do just do one call to action, and the only one on a video you want to be discoverable anyway. If it's a sales video or something, then yeah. But if it's this video you want to be discoverable and perform well long-term, then your only call to action should be content, content, content. And now, because of this, like what Lennon said, now click here and watch this next thing. And if we get into you get bonus points if you get them into a playlist. Lennon, you want to wrap up this before we jump into questions with what we should do with those playlists and how to plan those and everything?
Yes, but before I move on to that, I want to add one more little point to what you just said. And that is the reason I feel part of the reason I feel that this is so powerful is kind of like I call it a cold close. Like it just feels very abrupt, very to the next thing, doesn't really give the viewer an opportunity to decide. It's not a warm close. It's not like, oh, we're wrapping everything up, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? It's just very cold is how it feels. And one of the reasons I feel this is so powerful is because it actually almost makes the viewer feel like, but what? I wasn't done watching. What? And if we give them that feeling, then they're also more likely to watch more because they feel like they weren't done watching. Like I actually remember the first time I came to video creators content, Tim was the first person that I ever saw do that on his videos. And I was like, I remember he'd come to the end of every single video and I'd be like, excuse me, I wasn't done watching. And so I'd want to watch more. And so I'd click on, and you can do that with entertainment content. And you just want to make sure that wrap up is super short, super sweet, and just get right into the next thing. And then, yeah, also as well as with how-to content, which is what they just kind of laid out. But in terms of playlists, optimizing our playlists can be super, super powerful because especially if we're going to pitch some of our playlists at the end, we want to make sure that our playlists are super short and bingeable. We don't just want to use playlists to like categorize our content. So whether you're in the how-to niche or the entertainment niche or however it is, make sure that you're not just categorizing it, but you actually, to Lennon's point earlier, you want to think about, okay, what are like 3 to 5 videos that fit really, really well together. So if you're in the how-to content, pick like one topic, but that maybe one answers one question, but then it maybe brings up another question or another struggle that the viewer's facing. So then that video, let's take them to another video, and you kind of plan out your playlist that way. Another thing that you can look at whenever you are starting to optimize these playlists and starting to use them in your end screens, again, make sure they're like 3 to 5 videos long, not super long, keep them short, keep them bingeable, and keep them leading the viewer on a journey. But another thing that you can look at actually within your YouTube analytics is looking at the playlist exit rate to see which videos within those short playlists that you've now created actually have the highest abandonment rate, because you can start to organize your playlists accordingly. Now, keep in mind that the first video in the playlist will likely always have the highest abandonment. But what you can look at is, okay, if I change the first video in the playlist to something else, does the average time in playlist metric increase? That's another thing that you can look at within your YouTube analytics. So yeah, I would start to optimize your playlist. Short, bingeable, ties well into the content. And a little trick that I have for a lot of creators is rather than going in and trying to like organize all of your playlists at once, is actually just do it as you upload. So the next time you upload a video, what's the topic? What are 3 other videos that would pair really well, that would answer some other questions within this topic? And just make a quick little playlist and then add that video to the playlist and publish it. So that way you don't have to go in and kind of like reorganize all of your content. You can do it as you move forward and as you upload new videos.
Love it. Let's dive into a few questions that you guys have. First question is from Adulting with Money, Mr. Dan Hines. What do you mean by creating tension in the title and thumbnail?
Ooh, good question.
Who wants to take that one?
I feel like this has to do with, like, it has to do with what the viewer kind of like representing the question or the story. You know what I'm saying? So it's either like, okay, we could have, if we go in Dan's route, like adulting with money. So maybe we have a video that is about budgeting, and budgeting, what does the viewer know to be true about their life, or what does the viewer want to be true about their life, and how can we start to represent that within the title and the thumbnail? So maybe it has a bank account it shows a snapshot of a bank account that's empty, and then it goes to a bank account that has, like, it points to a bank account that has a ton of money, and that starts to peg a question in the viewer's mind of how did they go from this to that. So creating tension is kind of just more about creating a question.
Yeah, like I picture like a question mark popping up above their head. They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Or "What happened there? What does that mean?" Or just something, not in a confusing way,
Yeah.
but in a I need to see what happens next, or how is that possible, or is that for real? Like just some sort of like something unresolved. I was status quo, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the, like I need some sort of, yeah, I got that tension. So
like they need the resolution.
I heard somebody talk about the ROT formula recently, which is results, objective, and time. So if you're using those three things, that helps create some of those tension. Like, what is the result that you want, or the result that we're going to see? And what's the objection here that's going to happen? So not objective, sorry, objection that we're going to see here. That becomes the conflict, right? And then if you can throw time in there in some way, shape, or form, like that can also be another wrench to kind of poke in there, and that creates tension. So if you know at least like what's the result and the objective, or objection, sorry, then those two things are going to cause some tension there as well. So,
and by time you mean like,
so if you
grow
said
your YouTube channel in 30 days or less.
Yes. Yeah. But what's even with that, like, what's the objection there? What's the thing that somebody's going to be, what's the struggle that they maybe have? Like, overcome this to grow your YouTube channel in 30 days, something like that.
Yeah. Cool. See you out there. Asks, are instructional videos more popular than vlog style videos? If they're like, hey, which one should I do? I don't really know which way I should go. Is one more popular? They're trying to plan what kind of content to make.
I think vlogs are just hard. I don't think that I think of it in terms of value. So I often talk about the value pyramid, which is something that I use a ton in consultations. And basically it relates to functional values. So how are you saving somebody time? How are you saving somebody effort, money, reducing risk, any of those kinds of things, right? So those play really well on YouTube because it's really easy for somebody to understand why it's valuable. They can get the value within that. And with vlog style content, it's just harder to understand what the value is. So I would say it's really important to still highlight some sort of value for the viewer. And in these situations, you may be diving into more of the emotional side of things. So how are you motivating somebody? How are you inspiring your ideal audience? How are you, bringing in and drawing in more community, and maybe even still offering some of these functional values? So if it's a vlog about you going and changing a tire, if you can still say like, well, I have this set of jumper cables that only cost me $20, like you're still saving somebody money if you're offering that value. So there's little ways that we can implement and offer those values inside of the content. And I think that's the biggest thing that's missing in most vlogs in general, is the presentation of the value that we're about to give.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
What I was going to say is, I feel like, who said this earlier? Yeah, Snail Trail 4x4 says, I feel that you need to do both. And this is, I would definitely go more that route, because I feel like it's really important for us, if we're in the educational niche, to understand that we are also entertainers. We are on a video platform. And so it is our job to entertain. For the most part, there's probably some exceptions there, but yeah, it is our job to entertain. And with vlog style, it's important for you to understand that people aren't going to watch unless you benefit them in some way. And that's where like the confusion starts to get. Should I be educational, instructional, or should I be entertainment? I guess vlog style is that there has to kind of be this balance. Like, people aren't going to either have to have a really, really strong story that makes people feel, like Tim said earlier, like, oh, I need to find out what happens, or the things that you are doing in your life has to benefit and help the viewer in some way, whether that is a relational value, it just helps them to feel less alone, whether it is teaching them, maybe you decide that you're going to vlog growing your garden or something like that, then well, I guess I'm referencing Tim's life right now. Then making a story out of that. And then through that story, people are able to take away instructional, educational things like, oh, they used, I don't know anything about gardening yet, but they used this fertilizer over this one. And this is why they decided that. And oh, I know that that's what I've been facing in my garden. I need to change that now. And so it's kind of like the instruction, the education it's kind of disguised, but it's still helping the viewer. And so it all kind of comes down to, I think, both, and realizing the way that your content is playing into somebody's life.
Yeah. Cool. You want to wrap us up with quote of the day, Delana?
Sure.
What inspiration are you going to give us?
Yeah. So we have this one I'm probably going to have to explain again, but success.
You are probably correct in assuming that about me.
Right before we hopped into the chat, I was like, I feel like I always have to explain my quotes, but that's because I want to give you guys something to chew on. So quote of today is, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that is from Earl Nightingale. And I'm actually going to pull out my book, The Slight Edge, here, because they reference this quote, and I'm going to read, progressive means success is a process, not a destination. And I feel like this is so, so, so important for YouTube creators to understand this whole idea. Like, honestly, I feel like every YouTube creator should read The Slight Edge, because it talks about how the power of getting any kind of success, no matter what you're pursuing, is in the little things that feel like they don't matter. And they're so easy to do that they're also just as easy not to do. And so we tend to just like dismiss the importance of them. So super good book, great for the mindset of YouTube creators. And just meaning that the progress happens over time of you consistently pursuing something.
Like me trying to figure out how to do drywall for the first time. It's not very good. I actually ended up trying to do it 5 times. I'm like, I'm doing the same spot again. I can't get it right, but that's how things go, right? Apparently. So thanks, Delana. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Maximalist Minibus, for moderating our live stream today and for getting all these questions in front of us. And we look forward to hanging out with you guys again next week for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you guys then.